promised to transfer schools with my childhood friend who was being bullied, but he backed out the day before we were supposed to sign the papers. His friend teased, "Wow, you really went all out pretending to be bullied for so long, just to trick Lyra Zhu into leaving. She's been your childhood friend all this time. Do you really have the heart to let her go to a strange school alone?" Orion Song replied indifferently, "It's just another school in the same city. How far could it possibly be? I was getting tired of her clinging to me all the time, so this is just perfect." That day, I stood outside the door for a long time, and in the end, I chose to turn and leave. Only on the transfer application, I changed Haisha No. 3 high school to the international high school my parents wanted me to attend. Everyone forgot that, from the very beginning, he and I were worlds apart. The moment I heard the truth, my heart trembled violently. Over the past month, Orion Song has faced countless beatings and false accusations. I did my best to shield him from harm, but there were still moments when I couldn't protect him. Unable to bear it any longer, I suggested he transfer schools. At that time, Orion Song had just been drenched in ice water. His handsome face pale and pitiful, he helplessly grabbed my hand. "Lyra, I'm afraid to go to an unfamiliar place alone. Orion Song and I were childhood sweethearts. Having walked to and from school together since kindergarten, a routine unchanged for over a decade. Moreover, I secretly harbored feelings for him in my heart, so in a moment of impulse, I assured him, 'Don't be afraid, I'll go with you wherever you go.' But only now do I realize that everything was just an elaborate act he put on to drive me away. I can't help but wonder, does Orion Song really hate me that much?" The voices in the private room continued, "Lyra Zhu is truly devoted to you. Are you not afraid she might fall for someone else if you send her to another school now?" Orion Song scoffed, as if hearing the most ridiculous joke. For me, she dared to step in and stop a group fight, even when she was beaten black and blue without retreating a single step. "Do you really think she'd change her heart for me?" someone muttered under their breath. "But what if? Lyra Zhu doesn't seem like someone to be trifled with." Orion Song's tone was lazy. "There's no what if. There are plenty of young masters at First High. When have you ever seen her spare a glance for anyone else?" His tone inevitably carried a hint of disdain. "All she does is follow me around. Even a lapdog isn't as clingy as her." The sound of harsh laughter erupted in the private room, like a slap across my face. I want to leave, but my feet seem rooted to the ground, forcing me to listen, and to ache. Someone clicks their tongue in amazement. First time seeing someone push away a woman who likes them with their own hands. "I salute you, man, but if you don't like Lyra Zhu clinging to you so much, just tell her directly. Lyra Zhu doesn't seem like the type to pester endlessly." Orion Song clicked his tongue in annoyance, growing impatient. "Lyra Zhu is too ostentatious. If things were laid bare, it wouldn't be so easy to walk away." He abruptly changed the subject. "Besides, Lenny feels inferior and upset whenever she sees her. Only when I'm around does she feel a little better. For Lenny's sake, I have no choice but to do this. It's just that Lyra Zhu will have to endure some hardship for a while." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone instantly understood, calculating the timeline. Orion Song decided to pretend to be bullied exactly 1 week after Lenny Liu transferred to No. 1 high school. Someone laughed and teased Orion Song, "You're something else, huh? You set your sights on the little white flower the moment she transferred here. But Lenny Liu is truly delicate and charming. With such a gentle personality, it's only natural for men to be drawn to her, not like Lyra Zhu, cold and sharp in demeanor, always wearing an icy expression that keeps everyone at arm's length. No matter how pretty she is, it just doesn't work." The comments about me in the private room surged like waves, one after another, and Orion Song, whom I've secretly liked for years, neither stopped them nor argued back, occasionally even agreeing with a few words. Standing outside the door, my heart sank heavily into an abyss, empty, numb, and aching. For a moment, I wanted to open the door and confront Orion Song loudly, ask him why he lied to me, ask him if he ever felt a moment of guilt or softness in his heart while watching me get beaten for protecting him. Ask him if he ever thought about our friendship of over 10 years when he did all this. But in the end, my mother's words echoed in my ears, "Don't do anything unnecessary. People don't rot away suddenly." I turned around and left that private room. The pain, fine and dense, came belatedly. Originally, I wouldn't have been this upset. Just treat it as a betrayal by a friend, no big deal. But it was Orion's song who first chose to cross that line called friendship. On the day we decided to transfer schools together, he dragged me to a bar to drink and celebrate our liberation. Bathed in the ambiguous lighting, I gazed at the person I'd secretly loved for years, feeling involuntarily dazed, so when he leaned in to kiss me, I didn't refuse. The long-suppressed emotions surged wildly in an instant. Unable to contain myself, I couldn't help but ask for confirmation. Orion, what are we now? Orion's song kissed my forehead again with affection. Silly. What else could we be? Cheers erupted in the private room, the atmosphere as fervent as my burgeoning love. I never expected that just 2 days later, I would hear Orion's song personally shatter my wishful thinking. I smiled, yet tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. So that vague rhetorical question was also Orion's song's way of deceiving me to quickly drive me away for Lenny Liu's sake, wasn't it? The wind chime in the bedroom tinkled softly, gradually drying my tears. The broken heart slowly mends itself. Orion's song was mistaken. He was merely the illegitimate son of the Song family. While I am the only heiress of the Zhu family, we truly shouldn't have been clinging to each other, because we were never a match. The transfer application form in my hand was soaked by my tears. The ink smudged and spread, leaving it stained and unsightly. But it doesn't matter. If this one is dirty, I'll just replace it with a clean one. The Zhu family never lacks alternatives. I printed out a new form, but when I reached the section for the transfer institution, I called my mother. Mom, you mentioned last time that you wanted me to study abroad. Which high school were you referring to? Yes, I'll go alone. The wind chime in the room made a clear, melodious sound, as if celebrating for me. I slightly closed my eyes, and this time, it wasn't Orion's song's face that appeared before me, a man whose features bore a 3-part resemblance to Orion's song. Yet was even more strikingly handsome, flashed me a smile, just as resolute and earnest as 2 years prior. Lyra Zhu, sooner or later, you'll give up Orion's song and choose me. Back then, I thought he was joking. Now, I silently repeated those words in my heart. Orion's song, I really don't want you anymore. After filling out the new application form, I let out a long sigh, feeling a quiet calm settle within me. But suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I froze. This house has always been mine alone. And the only one who knows the password would be. I opened the door and indeed saw Orion's song's face. His tone was as gentle as ever. Lyra, you haven't come to say goodbye to your friends for a long time. I was worried about you. I tried my best to speak in a calm voice. My stomach isn't feeling well. So I won't be going. Just as I was about to usher him out, my peripheral vision caught an unexpected figure. Lenny Liu shrank petite beside Orion's song, flinching slightly the moment our eyes met. Orion's song, attentive to her every move, immediately drew her into a loose embrace upon noticing. Lyra, you've frightened Lenny, again with this. Lenny Liu always puts on that delicate act of fearing I might bully her, as if I were some irredeemable villain, but I clearly didn't do anything. My expression turned cold. I've said before, I don't like people coming to my house. Orion's song frowned slightly, somewhat displeased. Lenny isn't an outsider, besides. She only came along because she cares about you. Before I could retort, Lenny Liu suddenly teared up. Lyra, I'm sorry. I know you've always looked down on me, but I shower every day, she added with tears streaming down her face. I won't dirty your home. Hearing this, Orion's song immediately frowned and looked at me with displeasure. Lyra, Lenny may come from a poor family, but she's not as wretched as you think. You treating her like this is truly disappointing to me. Lenny Liu carefully tugged at Orion's song's sleeve, showing tolerance, generosity, and understanding. Orion, it's fine with me. Don't argue with Lyra. She sniffled and forced a smile that was both aggrieved and stubborn. After all, Lyra mentioned you two grew up together, with that kind of bond. How could I ever compare? What nonsense are you talking? You're one of a kind just as you are. Orion's song tenderly cupped Lenny Liu's face, his voice soft and soothing as he comforted her. Then he turned to me, his expression cold as ice, and spoke in a low voice. Lenny isn't feeling well. I'm taking her home first. Take some time to reflect on yourself, and don't forget to get the transfer application stamped. I did indeed reflect deeply on my poor judgment of people. Then I went and changed the passcode for the front door. The pent-up frustration in my heart finally found a moment of relief. The next day, I took the new application form to the school to get it stamped. Watching the bright red mark symbolizing my departure being firmly pressed onto the paper, I suddenly felt a void in my heart for a moment. Dazed for a brief moment, I found my path blocked by someone in front of me. Orion Song frowned slightly. Lyra, did you change the password for your front door yesterday? After I dropped Lenny off at home, I went straight to look for you. But the door wouldn't open no matter what. I cut him off, replying succinctly, yes, I changed it. He seemed a bit displeased, yet asked as intimately as if nothing had happened, what's the new password, so I can come take care of you at your place? I calmly said, no need, I won't be living here after transferring schools. Orion Song looked at the folded application form in my hand, suddenly remembering. I completely forgot about this. Don't worry, Lyra, I'll come stamp it tomorrow. Such moments of chatting while walking with Orion Song had become increasingly rare since Lenny Liu transferred to First High School. I closed my eyes, indulging in the reluctance in my heart, and tentatively said, between us, what's there to worry about? Orion Song remained silent for a long time before abruptly speaking. Lyra, actually, Lenny Liu suddenly appeared behind Orion Song, holding a stack of notebooks, and affectionately complained to him, Orion, didn't you promise to tutor me? Why did you suddenly disappear? As she spoke, she handed the notes to Orion Song. I noticed your tutoring schedule is already booked for the next 2 months, so I prepared corresponding study materials. With a playful wink, she added, Orion, you won't blame me for peeking, will you? How could? Orion Song forced a smile, glancing at me with a hint of guilt in his eyes. Seeing no reaction from me, his expression actually showed a trace of disappointment, so while pushing me away, you were already planning a future with someone else, it's just that your future never included me. I tried my best to maintain a facade of composure, but deep inside, bitterness spread endlessly like a rich, potent wine. I pinched my palm, forcing myself to stay composed. You guys chat, I'll head off first. Lenny Liu acted as if she had just noticed me, appearing thoroughly startled. How, Lyra, is it because I've been studying with Orion that you're upset? But my family is poor. And I never had the resources you did. As she spoke, she actually started sobbing again. I didn't want to play along with her act and said coldly, move aside. The faint guilt in Orion Song's eyes vanished as he grabbed my wrist, his voice laced with anger. What kind of tone is that, Lyra Zhu? Without giving me a chance to explain, he dragged me in front of Lenny Liu and shouted, apologized to Lenny. The last piece of purity in my heart silently shattered into worthless fragments. This time, without hesitation, I raised my hand and slapped Orion Song hard across the face. Orion Song, the one who should apologize the most is you, but not to Lenny Liu, it should be to me. I was sorting through the things Orion Song had given me over the past decade, one by one. This necklace was a gift from him for my 18th birthday. I wore it to school once, and not long after, I saw an identical one around Lenny Liu's neck. She said shyly, Orion said I'll have whatever others have. The limited edition teddy bear was left with only its box, as Orion Song took the doll, saying he liked the perfume I had sprayed on it. But the next day, I saw it on Lenny Liu's desk, and those high heels from the coming-of-age ceremony, the indigo-scented incense. I once thought what I received was unique. But Orion Song had already given the same to others, not even equally. I recall Orion Song's endless care and favoritism toward Lenny Liu. A mocking smile curled at the corner of my lips. In that case, these things no longer have any reason to exist. I booked a flight for the next day, planning to spend the last night in peace. At 2 in the morning, I was startled awake by a phone call. Dazed, I pressed to answer, but there was only silence on the other end. Just as I was about to hang up, Orion Song's voice came through. I'm sorry, Lyra. My mind instantly cleared. If he decided to tell the truth, Orion Song said solemnly, Lenny self-harmed, I couldn't leave her alone, so I'll have to postpone the transfer application for a while. My heart, which had been lifted high, came crashing down. Humiliating and laughable. I suddenly really want to ask Orion Song, what about the suffering I endured because you pretended to be bullied? Orion Song's voice continued, just apologize. I thought I must have misheard. What did you say? Orion Song's voice was firm. Lyra Zhu, you really should apologize to Lenny. Would you dare say Lenny's self-harm has nothing to do with you? I was suddenly speechless, because it suddenly dawned on me. With Lenny Liu present, every word I said was wrong. Orion Song spoke again, his voice like ice. Lyra Zhu, you've truly disappointed me. As long as you apologize, I can pretend nothing ever happened and accompany you to the new school in 2 months. Are you really going to be this stubborn and throw away all the years of our relationship? I detected the threat in his words, but there was no longer any resentment or sorrow, just weariness. Hanging up the phone decisively, blocking and deleting. I sincerely look forward to tomorrow's flight. The scenery in a foreign land feels refreshing to me, and my suitcase is taken from me. I look up and meet the eyes of the Song family's legitimate young master, Lyra Zhu. Long time no see. I reach out my hand with a beaming smile. Long time no see, Shi Yu Bai. The ringtone of my phone interrupts our pleasantries. I swipe to answer, only to find it's a call from Orion Song's friend's number. Puzzled, I pick up, and Orion Song's voice comes through, faintly anxious. Lyra, which class did you transfer to at 3rd High? Why does everyone in every class say they haven't seen you? Before I could speak, Shi Yubai's voice came through. Lyra, let me take you to get familiar with your new school first. He looked innocent, as if simply being genuinely helpful. Orion Song's voice quickly rose in pitch. Lyra, are you with Shi Yubai? Where exactly are you? I held the phone away from my ear, feeling for the first time that Orion Song's voice was grating. What does it matter to you where I am? Orion Song seemed as if he hadn't heard, his voice filled with disbelief. You were so angry with me that you actually went to find Shi Yubai, just to spite me. You'd even associate with such a lowlife. As his words grew increasingly harsh, I couldn't take it anymore and shouted, "Shut up." Taking a deep breath, I declared firmly, Orion Song, you're the most despicable one here. I finally said those words back to him. Don't call again. Everything between us ends here. After speaking, I quickly hung up the phone and blocked and deleted this number as well. The world became quiet, and I said with a hint of apology, sorry you had to hear that. Shi Yubai simply smiled slightly. Then how about treating me to dinner? He winked at me. Consider it as thanks. I breathed a sigh of relief and returned a polite smile. Of course. The two sons of the Song family are truly as different as night and day. Back when Mr. Song had an affair, and the other woman gave birth to Orion Song before moving into the family home, the then Mrs. Song took swift and decisive action. Not only did she secure a swift divorce with the majority of the Song family's assets, but she also successfully took away Song Yubai, who had already shown great promise at a young age. From then on, Song Yubai changed his name to Shi Yubai, taking his mother's surname, and settled abroad. Every time my mother mentions the two of them, she speaks with great admiration, saying that the Song family has been on a steady decline ever since Madame Shi, the helmswoman, left. The identity of young Master Song, which Orion Song was so proud of, was nothing but an empty shell. Whenever the topic came up, my mother would sigh and say, it's because our Lyra is too kind-hearted, and she just had to fall for Orion Song. At the time, I felt only pity for Orion Song. As he couldn't choose whether he was born to the legal wife or the mistress, I was just grateful that my mother respected my choice. Only now do I realize that for some things, elders truly have a long-term perspective. The sea breeze gently brushed my cheek, disturbing my thoughts. I shook my head and raised an eyebrow at the road ahead. This doesn't seem to be the way to the restaurant, does it? Shi Yubai smiled. Lyra, please forgive me. I'm acting on Aunt Zhu's orders. I smiled faintly and turned my gaze to the boulevard bathed in the sunset. As expected, the car stopped in front of a low-key yet luxurious villa. Officially, it was a transfer to a new school. But in reality, it was just a formality. Both Shi Yubai and I had been groomed as heirs since childhood, and it wasn't long before we received invitations from the business world. Wearing the violet dress my mother helped me choose, I gracefully held a glass of champagne and mingled through the crowd until I saw Shi Bai. The young man was dressed in a custom-made suit, but contrary to his calm demeanor, a violet flower bloomed vibrantly on his shoulder. The people around me discreetly left. And I said helplessly, "Let's not criticize each other, we're all just doing what we have to." That night's dinner was actually declared by my mother and Auntie Sha, in just a few words, to be my engagement party with Shi Bai. We're all adults, not that childish. Shi Bai and I had a tacit understanding, treating it as just a joke between two mothers. I didn't expect to underestimate the mother's determination to become in-laws. I received a butterfly transformation watch from my mom. And in a few days, Shi Bai will receive the matching men's version from Auntie Sha. Or when Shi Bai received the cuffs from Aunt Sha, Mom would give me the same ones when I was negotiating with someone. I had almost gotten used to it, but this time, Shi Bai looked into my eyes and said word by word, "What if I told you? This time I'm willing." He took a step closer, his voice clear and melodious, like a spring flowing through a stream, leaving a damp mist in my heart, or rather, every time. Golden fireworks soared into the sky from the cruise ship. Looking at the clear and resolute eyes of the person in front of me, I thought my heart skipped a beat. My relationship with Shi Bai developed naturally. After the engagement banquet, my family arranged for me to intern at a domestic company. My mother envisioned the future. When the time comes, you two lovebirds can focus on home, while I and Sha's mom will handle external matters. My father quietly asked me to help keep an eye on Mom, making sure she doesn't get whisked away by Aunt Sha. With these expectations in mind, I couldn't help but smile as I boarded the plane back home. When seeing me off at the airport, Shi Bai took one of the wind chimes and placed it in my palm. He had always been reserved and polite in front of me, yet even he couldn't resist using the chime's sound to tell me of his longing. After several months, Class 3A of No. 1 high school is now a thing of the past. When my friends back home sent me the graduation photo that I wasn't in, I felt as if an eternity had passed. In the photo, Orion Song and Lenny Liu stood side by side, a fitting pair. My gaze swept over their smiling faces, and the flutter I once felt was gone. My friend was somewhat annoyed. "Back then when you were leaving, we were reluctant to let you go, but now we think it's just as well that you left. You have no idea." Lenny Liu, taking advantage of Orion Song's favor, has been throwing her weight around in class all day long. "After you left, she went even further, spreading rumors about you everywhere. A few of us tried to debunk them, but we couldn't keep up. And that useless Orion Song, it's like he's turned a blind eye, defending Lenny Liu at every turn. I don't mean to be harsh, but others might not know better. After over a decade of friendship with you, how could he still act as her accomplice?" I sighed helplessly and typed, "I'm afraid Orion Song probably already thinks I'm not a good person." Then, with an almost imperceptible frown, I added, "I remember Lenny Liu didn't dare to be this outrageous before." My friend seemed to seize the opportunity to vent, sending over 5 or 6 photos. "Here, see for yourself." They were all screenshots of Lenny Liu's social media posts. First image: "Thanks to you, my coming-of-age ceremony didn't end up as awkward and messy as ordinary people's." 2 accompanying images. One shows Orion Song bending down, carefully helping her put on high heels. Another photo appears to be a group shot with classmates, yet unintentionally captures my sweaty and exhausted figure in the corner. I thought back, oh, that day I was responsible for hosting duties as part of the student council. It must have been quite the effort for Lenny Liu to meticulously capture my disheveled state. Second photo. He said to please forgive his incompetence, and next time, he would give me a new teddy bear. My boy, I would never blame you for the arrogance of others. The accompanying image is a familiar limited edition doll, the kind without a special gift box. Third image. His restraint is always the biggest plus. My boy, after the college entrance exam, don't let the scented candle accompany me to sleep anymore. The accompanying image shows a corner of a deep blue scented candle. I quickly scrolled past in speechless silence, until I saw the last photo. My sliding finger abruptly froze. The copy reads, "I belong to you completely now." The accompanying image is a blood-stained bedsheet. A message from a friend arrives. She's been subtly and overtly belittling you in her social media posts, portraying you as the other woman and creating the illusion that she and Orion Song have been in a flirtatious relationship all along. I didn't expect you to not care at all. Ha ha ha, I smiled faintly. It wasn't entirely an illusion, just that Orion Song wanted to enjoy double the affection from both me and Lenny Liu. After graduation, they even went as far as drugging Orion Song directly. I was shocked. They went that far. My friend's tone was indignant. Exactly. The matter has become widely known, and with this legitimate relationship, Lenny Liu has become so arrogant. But to be fair, posting bedsheet photos is really tacky. I bet Orion Song regrets it deeply, I reassured them. Thank you for helping me debunk the rumors. Don't worry, if anything similar happens again, I'll directly involve my lawyer. We chatted casually, and my friend finally sent a message. It's good if you've really let go. Orion Song isn't worth it. I paused for a moment before typing. Yeah, it turns out I truly don't feel anything anymore. Orion Song, whom I once liked so sincerely, has now become nothing more than a topic for casual conversation. Time truly is a great healer. The company headquarters are in this city, so I drove straight home to get the documents. My mother bought a small villa with a garden so that I would be comfortable. I pushed open the front door, but was startled when I tried to unlock it with the password. There was actually a person sitting in the hallway by the door. He turned his head, and what met his eyes was a pair of bloodshot eyes. I frowned. Orion Song, how did you get in? Suddenly noticing the bruised and purple knees from his climb. My brows furrowed tightly. You climbed over the gate to get into my house. What do you want? The person who had been silent the whole time stared at me and suddenly said, Lyra, you've lost weight. I didn't understand what he was trying to do with this inexplicable greeting, and I turned to leave, but he suddenly lunged and hugged me with such force, as if he wanted to crush my arms. Fortunately, the training I received wasn't just for show. I threw him off and, feeling a bit disgusted, wiped my arm. Orion Song, have some self-respect. He let out a low chuckle. You're telling me to have self-respect? Lyra Zhu, you and Shi Yubai did everything together abroad. How dare you tell me to have self-respect? As if pushed to his limit, he nearly roared. Do you have any conscience? I've been searching for you like crazy back home. I raised my hand and slapped him without the slightest hesitation. Watch your mouth. Seeing how he kept pestering me, I thought for a moment and calmly said, didn't you want me to go abroad in the first place, pretending to be bullied so I could take the humiliation and beatings for you? What's wrong? Not happy now that your goal is achieved? The color drained completely from Orion Song's face in an instant. His eyes widened, his ashen lips trembling uncontrollably. You know everything, Lyra. I can explain. I shrugged, but I don't accept it. Taking a step closer, I stared with a touch of dark humor at Lenny Liu, who had suddenly appeared outside the door. My voice was very low, but loud enough for both of them to hear clearly. Pictures of bloody bedsheets have been posted. What gives you the right to keep harassing me? Orion Song, you are truly despicable. I turned and walked into my house, calling the bodyguards who lived near me to take her away. Passing by the window, I suddenly heard a furious roar. You bitch, you've completely disgraced me. The crisp sound of a slap was clearly audible even through the thick soundproof glass. In my peripheral vision, Lenny Liu seemed to be covering her face and crying. I drew the curtains and sent my usual daily update to Shi Yubai. Busy, missing you. I met Orion Song again at a welcome dinner prepared by a friend. As adults, the topics in our circle gradually shifted to each other's businesses and operations. The soft lighting and slightly sweet wine created a comfortable atmosphere, unable to resist. I stayed longer. When suddenly an uninvited guest arrived, the atmosphere in the private room fell into an eerie silence for a moment. My friend tugged at my sleeve and whispered, Lyra, no one invited him. I nodded, having already guessed as much. My friend sighed in relief, her tone laced with disdain. That couple has become the cockroaches of our circle now. Not only has their family fallen from grace, but their character is also terrible, especially Lenny Liu, who looks at Orion Song as if he were some kind of treasure. Wary of every woman around him, I tilted my head slightly, and sure enough, Lenny Liu was following behind Orion Song. When my gaze landed on her, Lenny Liu instinctively shrank back timidly, then glared at me fiercely. Orion's song seemed completely oblivious and walked straight over to sit down across from me. The others were trying to keep the atmosphere lively, so I simply got up and went to the restroom to find some peace and quiet. Before long, someone appeared behind me. Lenny Liu really hasn't changed a bit. Twin pigtails in a soft girl style, delicate makeup, and a pure white dress. A year has passed, yet her mindset seems to remain stuck in her middle school days, but she doesn't realize that this circle has never needed some naive, innocent little flower. Profit is the fundamental basis of everything. She's outdated, useless. Her emotional value outweighed by profit, so she was discarded. It's that simple. Lenny Liu's eyes were filled with jealousy, as if she couldn't wait to rush over and tear me apart. Lyra Zhu, seeing Orion so infatuated with you must make you feel really smug. I silently looked at her through the mirror, momentarily speechless. If shedding a few tears and spouting a couple of sentimental lines counts as infatuation, then Lenny Liu's concept of love is pretty twisted. Lenny Liu seemed to have thought of something, her expression shifting several times before settling into one of smug satisfaction. But you probably didn't know, right? Your transfer in high school was a setup by Orion, just so I wouldn't have to see you and get annoyed. He was never actually bullied, yet you took the beatings to protect him. Ha ha ha. I remained calm, because honestly, it didn't matter to me at all. Yes, it's nothing. Whether it's Orion's song or Lenny Liu, they will only become more and more distant from my life from now on. And I'm confident that I'll leave them far behind, for a lifetime. Lenny Liu glared at me with wide, furious eyes. What kind of reaction is this? Why aren't you angry? What exactly are you being so arrogant about? What gives you the right to be so arrogant? So what if your family is a little better off than mine? Besides that, how are you better than me? You good-for-nothing who can't even hold on to a man's heart. The more she spoke, the angrier she got. She raised her arm, intending to slap me, but someone grabbed her arm mid-swing and forcefully threw her aside. Shi Yubai stood in front of me, looking at Lenny Liu, who had fallen to the ground. Regarding your insults and intentional harm to my fiancé, I have already recorded evidence and called the police. You can say whatever you want slowly at the detention center. I looked at the tall figure in front of me and couldn't help but smile. This person had clearly dressed up to see me, still wearing accessories and clothes in colors that matched mine. Childish, yet strangely cute. The police car arrived with quite a commotion. My friends, noticing my prolonged absence and hearing the noise, came out to check. Just in time to see Lenny Liu being forced into the police car. She struggled and thrashed wildly, screaming, "How dare you lay hands on me? My husband is Orion's Song, the only heir of the Song family. Let me go, I need to find my husband." Everyone tacitly looked at Orion's Song, but Orion's Song just numbly watched as the woman he had protected so carefully in his youth was apprehended. He didn't speak, didn't stop them, clearly prioritizing his own safety. I silently glanced at him, and at that moment, the boy from my youth completely crumbled. It was already late when we finished giving statements at the police station, so I simply took Shi Yubai straight to my place. The next morning, when I opened my eyes, breakfast was already laid out in front of me. Leaning against the doorframe, I watched the person diligently washing the dishes and teased, "So domestic, still no official status yet. Gotta be a bit more diligent to leave a good impression on my better half, otherwise. If she gets angry and doesn't want me anymore, what should I do?" Shi Yubai lightly tapped my nose, half-jokingly complaining. I sighed helplessly, recalling how our friends had stared at Shi Yubai with undisguised curiosity when we left last night. After casually scrolling through my phone for a while, my gaze landed on a news headline, and I smiled. "You want a title? Here it is." The news headlines, bolded and capitalized, shot to the top of the trending list. Zhu family heirs' immoral conduct, seducing a married man. Zhu family heirs' chaotic private life, hosting a stranger overnight. The two headlines appeared one after another, quite neatly, a ruthless determination to spare no effort in destroying me. Perhaps Lenny Liu didn't know that private villas usually have surveillance cameras installed. Before public opinion could ferment, a video suddenly went viral. The video clearly showed the Song family heir persistently pouncing on me after I tried to push him away and leave. The Zhu family's reputation took a sharp turn, but there were still many questions. Explain the chaotic private life. Becoming a high-level executive at the Zhu Group at such a young age, who knows which big shot you stayed overnight with? Shi Yubai managed to make registering a Weibo account seem like a matter of extreme urgency. I watched the person fumbling around, amused, no need to rush, in the midst of his busy schedule. He earnestly kissed my forehead. You shouldn't be slandered by any words. Ding dong tilde, new message notification. You have been followed by Shi Yubai. I looked down and, oh wow. It was actually a verified authoritative account. Shortly after, the account Shi Yubai posted, "Hello everyone. On behalf of the Zhu Group, I'd like to thank the future lady boss of the group for taking me in last night at Lyra Zhu." The internet fell silent for a moment, then exploded. Shi Yubai looked up at me, his face once again full of innocence. I sighed and leaned in to kiss his lips. The collaboration between the Zhu family and the Shi family progressed steadily. 3 years later, Shi Yubai and I got married. The wedding was held in a retro foreign town, where every household had colorful wind chimes hanging. When the breeze blew through, the crisp tinkling sounds would ring out, like sincere blessings one after another. Near the end, I received a wedding gift. No name was left, but everyone around recognized the Song family's seal. In fact, after Shi Yubai officially took over the Shi family, he launched a comprehensive and intense crackdown on the Song family. If the Song family, without Shi's mother, was already a collapsing edifice before, then after Shi Yubai dealt with them, all that remained were bricks and ruins. He would never spare the family that betrayed his mother. I didn't hesitate to cooperate. In fact, I went even further. The Song family had long lost their standing in the circle. Because I won't let go of anyone who has betrayed me, I was quite surprised to receive congratulations from Orion Song under these circumstances. Opening the box, I discovered it was a dazzling purple diamond ring. The forgotten memories from when I was 18 suddenly resurfaced. The recollection wasn't entirely clear. It was after a mock exam when I helped Orion Song analyze his mistakes. At 18, my heart and eyes were completely filled with him. Solving problems while daydreaming about a future with Orion Song, but I wasn't the only one who wasn't paying attention. Orion Song gazed at me. His sincerity at that moment seemed genuine. "Lyra, what kind of ring do you like?" Bringing up this topic too soon made us both blush. After a long pause, I finally whispered, "Purple. I've always liked purple." Orion Song's voice was equally soft. "Millimeter. I'll remember that." The cicada's song lingered in the air, and in that moment, I thought of eternity. The company is already in that state, yet you're still giving away purple diamonds. Are you trying to empty the family coffers? Shi Yubai rarely spoke with such bitterness. Watching him seethe with jealousy in such a sarcastic manner, I couldn't help but laugh. "Help me donate it," I said. I casually tossed the ring to him. Because at 16, the purple wind chime arrived in my life before the ring did. Back then, the more naive Shi Yubai never considered my family background. He was only occasionally returning to the country to help his mother with some matters, and by chance, he saw the girl next door when visiting the Song residence. By coincidence, he overheard the girl's mother say to her, "Our Lyra loves purple the most, doesn't she? That's wonderful, purple is elegant. And Mom loves purple the most too." As if guided by some supernatural force, Shi Yubai stayed for 2 extra days and had someone send a string of purple wind chimes from abroad. During those 2 days, he witnessed the illegitimate child in the family deliberately injuring his own arm to gain the girl's sympathy. He also saw the girl growing increasingly tender and caring towards her nominal younger brother. A seed named jealousy grew wildly in Shi Yuebai's heart. On the day he left, he impulsively knocked on the girl's door and gave her the wind chime. He couldn't even hold back from saying something rude. 16-year-old Lyra Zhu stood there without showing any anger. Just softly said, "Have a safe journey." Later, Lyra lived a life of quiet joy, with no regrets.